So let us start the new gland, that is pancreas gland. Okay, pancreas. So earlier we had seen the different glands which are basically consisting of pituitary, pineal gland, and thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal cortex, okay, adrenal medulla, thymus, and all that. Now let us start the pancreas. Now this pancreas is called as composite gland because it will be functioning, it will be having both the exocrine and endocrine glands present in the same gland. Okay, now exocrine gland, we know it means that they will be secreting their secretions into the blood with the help of the tubular structure, or we can say duct. So these are the glands with having the duct. Okay, and the endocrine is the part which is basically having no ducts. So these are the ductless glands. The pancreas will be containing both exocrine and endocrine glands. Okay, this will be containing both the exocrine and the endocrine glands. Okay, now the endocrine part of the pancreas is called as islets of Langerhans. The endocrine part of the pancreas is called as islets of Langerhans. Langerhans was a scientist who first of all discovered these different cells types. Okay, now it consists of mainly 5 types of cell. These are the alpha cells, which consist of 15 to 25%, responsible for secretion of glucagon. These are the different hormones secreted by the pancreas. Okay, so alpha cells consisting of around 15 to 25%, beta cells responsible for secretion of insulin consisting of around 65 to 80%, of the total cells in the islets. Okay, then is the gamma cells consisting 10 to 15%, responsible for secretion of gastrin. These are different hormones responsible for gastrin secretion. And the last one is the delta cells, which are consisting of around 2 to 8% and responsible for the secretion of somatostatin. And the last one is the PP cells, or we can say the F cells. Okay, so these are the main cells types found in the islets of Langerhans, which are the cells responsible for secretion of the hormones, or we can say they are endocrine in nature. And the exocrine part of the gland is responsible for secretion of enzymes, into the Okay, so let us start with the beta cells, which are responsible for secretion of insulin. So the pancreas will be consisting of 5 types of cells. Okay, we have seen that there are about 1 to 2 millions of islets of Langerhans, and in a normal human pancreas, representing only 1 to 2% of the total pancreatic tissue. So this is also something which have to be taken in consideration, that this total islets of Langerhans will be representing only around 1 to 2% of the total pancreatic tissues. Okay, so these are not in very much amount, so they will be secreted in very less amount. Okay, the first hormone which we are going to discuss is the insulin. Now insulin was obtained from the calf's pancreas. First time it was obtained from the calf's pancreas by Banting and Best. There was 2 scientists who obtained it from the pancreas of a calf. He discovered the Banting and Best. They discovered the functions of insulin also, what actually this insulin will be playing a role. The term was given by the Skelter, and Abbott was the first person who crystallized the insulin. Insulin. Now, this it is a peptide hormone. It's a peptide hormone which play an important role in regulation of glucose homeostasis. So insulin is one of the most important hormone which is responsible for maintaining the concentration of glucose in the blood. So it is responsible for maintaining the glucose concentration in the blood. And structurally, when we see, it is composed of 51 amino acids. Structurally, insulin is a hormone which is a peptide hormone. So which is composed of around 51. It's composed of 51 amino acids, and its molecular weight is 6,000 Dalton. Okay, the 2 polypeptide chains are present. 2 polypeptide chains of insulins are there, the polypeptide A and polypeptide B. The A chain will be having 21 amino acids, while the B will be having 30 amino acids, and both together will be forming the amino acid, the peptide forming 51 amino acids. They both together will be forming a peptide having 51 amino acids. Now they will be acting mainly on the hepatocytes, or we can say adipocytes. Okay, so they are mainly acting on the target organ. The target organ of this insulin is mainly the hepatocytes. Hepatocytes are the cells of the livers. Okay, so they will be mainly targeting on the hepatocytes, that is the liver cells, and the adipocytes, that is the cells of adipose tissue, which are responsible for storage of fat. Okay, and hepatocytes are responsible for storage of glucose in the form of glycogen. So this insulin will be acting on this two target organs particularly, that is the hepatocytes in liver and adipocytes in the mainly in the case of male it will be below this stomach, below in the abdominal region. But in the case of females it will be in the we can say posterior region. Okay, posterior back region. Now it is composed of two polypeptide. We have seen that. Next, insulin is called as hypoglycemic factor or anti-diabetic factor. It is called as hypoglycemic. It means the main function of the insulin is how does it function, how does it regulate the concentration of glucose. So it will be responsible for decreasing the glucose level in the blood. So it will be responsible for decreasing the glucose level and hence called as anti-diabetic factor. What is it called? It is called as anti-diabetic factor. It will be functioning against the glucagon. It will be functioning against the corticoids. Okay, and this will be responsible for decreasing down the glucose concentration in the blood and hence called as anti-diabetic factor. It is called as anti-diabetic factor. Okay, now it does this basically. This glucose concentration is decreased by increasing the uptake of glucose by the cells. It is this glucose concentration is decreased by increasing the uptake of glucose by the cell, which the cells which are basically taking this glucose in are the liver cells, okay, and the adipose cells, okay, and this will be also responsible for inhibiting the gluconease. All the pathways by which the level of glucose is increased, all the pathways by which the glucose concentration increases are basically blocked or are inhibited by this hormone. So all the pathways which leads to the increasing the concentration of glucose in the blood are blocked or inhibited by this hormone, that is insulin. Okay, so it will be inhibiting the gluconeogenesis, which is responsible for increasing the glucose, right? The gluconeogenesis is also stopped. It also stimulates the glycogenesis. So glycogenesis is the formation of glycogen. So it will be responsible for formation of glycogen in the hepatocytes, where the glucose will be taken inside and will be converted into glycogen. And it also stimulates the lipogenesis. So the extra glucose or the glucose which is present in the blood will be taken up by the adipose tissue and other cells, and there it will be converted into lipids. Hence it is also responsible for stimulating this lipogenesis. It also stimulates the protein synthesis in the muscles. So the different glucose and different substances are there, glucose particularly there, it will be aminated and then they will be converted into amino acids, okay, and then it will be responsible for formation of proteins. Okay, so here these are the main criteria how this insulin will be acting on the blood glucose concentration. So it will be decreasing the blood glucose concentration by mainly increasing the uptake of glucose by the different cells, inhibiting gluconeogenesis, stimulating glycogenesis, stimulating the lipogenesis and protein synthesis. Okay, so these are the different ways by which the glucose concentration is decreased in the case of in the blood. Now the growth hormone become more effective in the presence of insulin. So when the insulin is present, the growth hormone will be also becoming more effective. Okay, now deficiency of insulin. So whenever the insulin is less in amount or it is not produced proper amount, okay, or if it is produced but it is not basically it is not effective in nature due to different reasons. Okay, so under that condition the person will be suffering from the diabetes mellitus. There are two types of diabetes, that is diabetes insipidus, where the dehydration will be occurring so frequently the person will lose the water from the body in the form of urine particularly, and the second condition is called the diabetes mellitus. So when the insulin is produced in lower amount, or if it is produced but it is not effective due to absence of receptors or any other reasons, so this condition is called as diabetes mellitus. Now it is basically responsible for causing the hyperglycemic condition. It means due to diabetes mellitus what will happen, the blood glucose level will be high, the glucose concentration of the blood will increases. Okay, that is called as hyperglycemic condition. It will also responsible for the having polyuria. It is also having polyuria and polydipsia, which is basically uptaking the more fluid, okay, that's water, okay, and it is basically characterized by the hyperglycemia, polyuria and the polydipsia. Next, excess of insulin. Sometimes it may happen the insulin will be in higher amount, so that excess of insulin will be also responsible for the condition called as insulin, which is mainly found in the insulinoma, that is a tumor. So sometimes the tumor of the islets may occur, or tumors of the insulin secreting beta cells may occur, that may lead to the over secretion of the insulin, and such condition is called insulinoma. It is called as insulinoma. So in that condition the body will be suffering from hypoglycemia. the body will be suffering from the low amount of glucose. That is, body will be suffering from the low amount of sugar in the blood. That condition is called as hypoglycemia. And during this hypoglycemic condition, the person may get fainted out and may not be able to carry out the work properly. Okay, so that is about the disorders related to the insulin. Next is the glucagon. So glucagon is also a peptide hormone. It's basically secreted by the alpha cells of the islets, and it is also important. It is also playing an important role in the maintaining normal blood glucose level. So it will be functioning just against the insulin. So whereas the insulin was responsible for increasing the blood glucose or decreasing the blood glucose, the glucagon will be functioning against it, where it will be increasing the blood glucose level. So here all the pathway which are responsible for increasing blood glucose, all the pathways which are responsible for increasing the blood glucose are stimulated or induced by this hormone. So all the pathways which are responsible for increasing the blood glucose are induced by this pathway, by this hormone, and it causes this hyperglycemia in the body. It means it increases the blood glucose concentration. Okay. Now the glucagon acts mainly on the liver cells. It will be mainly acting on the liver cells, that is the hepatocytes, and it stimulates the glycogenolysis. Resulting in increased blood sugar level. So whenever this glucagon will be acting on the liver cells, the liver cells will be having glycogen as a stored form of glucose. The liver cells will be having the glycogen as a stored form of glucose. So under the action of the glucagon, this glycogen will be broken down. Under this action of glucagon, this glycogen will be broken down, resulting in the increased blood sugar level. And such condition is called as hyperglycemia. Okay. So what is hyperglycemia? What does glucagon do? Glucagon will be acting on the hepatocytes, where it will stimulate the glycogenolysis. And due to which the blood glucose sugar will be increased. The blood sugar level will be increased, and hence this condition is called as hyperglycemia. Now, it also stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis. So all the pathways which are responsible for increasing blood glucose are basically initiated by this hormone. So all the pathways which are initiated by this all the pathways which are responsible for increasing blood glucose are initiated by this hormone. So it basically stimulates the glycogenolysis, that is breaking down of glycogen to release the glucose, increase the blood glucose level. Second, also stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis, that's the formation of the new glucose from the non-carbohydrate substances, right? And it also reduces the cellular glucose uptake and utilization. So it will be reducing the uptake of the cellular glucose, okay, by the different cells. So that's about the glucagon. So something which I have noted is that glucose homeostasis in blood is maintained jointly by the hormone, that is insulin and the glucagon. So this insulin and glucagon both together are responsible for maintaining the homeostasis of the glucose, maintaining the concentration or constant concentration of the glucose in the blood. Okay, so both are very important hormones for maintaining the concentration of glucose in the blood. Okay, that is about the insulin and the glucagon. Next is somatostatin. It is also one of the more important hormones secreted by the delta cells of the islets. So delta cells of islet will be secreting a hormone called as somatostatin. Now somatostatin means, the somato means the body and the statin means the to inhibition. So somatostatin will be acting just against the growth hormone. It will be acting against the growth hormone. So it will be responsible for the stopping the growth of the body. It will be responsible for stopping the growth of body, and hence it is considered as an inhibiting hormone. It is also called as growth hormone inhibiting hormone. That is GHIH. Okay, so that was about the pancreas. So what we studied in pancreas. So pancreas is basically a composite gland consisting of both exocrine and endocrine structures. Exocrine structures are responsible for secreting enzymes in the intestines, okay, duodenum particularly, while the endocrine is responsible for secretion of hormones. Now the endocrine part consists of islets of Langerhans, which are of 5 types of total cells, and altogether this islets of Langerhans will be consisting of only 1 to 2% of the total pancreatic cells. Okay, now these are 5 types. These are alpha, beta, delta, gamma and PP cells. which will be having different composition, okay, different proportion of them. First, the beta cells will be secreting insulin. It's basically a peptide hormone consisting 51 amino acids responsible for regulating the glucose homeostasis. The insulin peptide will be consisting two peptide chain, which is consisting 21 polypeptide A in 31 amino acid in the polypeptide A, while 30 amino acid in the polypeptide B. Both will be together forming a 51 amino acid peptide hormone. It mainly acts on the hepatocytes and the adipocytes, and basically it will be decreasing the level of glucose from the blood, and hence we can call it as a hypoglycemic factor. It's called as hypoglycemic or anti-diabetic factor. So all the pathways which are responsible for increasing the blood glucose, are inhibited by this hormone. So we can say it inhibits the gluconeogenesis. It also stimulates the glycogenesis, so that the glycogen is formed by the glucose, so the glucose level is brought down. It also stimulates the lipogenesis. It stimulates the protein synthesis, right? So these are the different hormones, different pathways by which the glucose level is brought down in the blood. Okay. Next, the deficiency will be responsible for causing the diabetes mellitus in the human beings, which will be characterized by the hyperglycemia, polyuria, and the polydipsia condition. Sometimes due to the tumorous condition of the insulin secreting cells, that is beta cells, it may lead to this condition called as insulinoma. It's called as insulinoma, which is mainly characterized by hypoglycemia. So when the high amount of insulin is secreted, what will happen? The amount of glucose which is present in the blood will be decreased at a very extended level. Okay, so that the person will not be basically able to get the sufficient amount of glucose in the blood, which may lead to different type of problems. Okay. That was about the insulin. Second important hormone which is acting just against the insulin is the glucagon, which is again secreted by the pancreas cell only, which will be the alpha cells of the pancreas, okay, and alpha cells of the islets of Langerhans, okay. This will be increasing the blood glucose level. It will be increasing the blood glucose level mainly by stimulating or initiating all the pathways which are responsible for increasing blood glucose. So it increases the gluconeogenesis. It stimulates the glycogenolysis and inhibits the glycogenesis. It stimulates the lipolysis. It stimulates the protein breaking down of proteins. Okay, so it will be responsible for initiating all the pathways which are responsible for increasing the blood glucose concentration. It will also inhibit the uptake of the glucose by the different cells. Okay, so this is how it will be working just against the insulin, and both the insulin and the glucagon together will be responsible for maintaining the glucose homeostasis in the body. A third type of hormone, that is somatostatin, which is secreted by the delta cells, is responsible for inhibiting the growth hormone, and hence it is called as growth hormone inhibiting hormone, called as GHIH. Okay, that was about the pancreas. Now the next important gland in the males particularly is the testis. The next important gland is the testis, male, and ovary in the females. Testis in the male and ovary in the female. Okay, so let us start with the testis. So testis is a pair of gland. Testis is a pair of gland present in the scrotal sac, which is present outside the abdomen. In the case of males, particularly human males, this testis will be present outside the abdomen in the male individuals, right? It performs dual function. It performs as a dual function as a primary sex organ as well as the endocrine gland. So it will be having two functions. It will be functioning or acting as a primary sex organ, that is one which is responsible for formation of the sperms, that is male gametes, and it will be functioning as an endocrine gland as well, responsible for secretion of some hormones also, that is particularly the sex hormones. Okay, so testis is composed of seminiferous tubules. The testis is composed of seminiferous tubules and stromal or interstitial tissues. So this testis will be consisting of the seminiferous tubules and this interstitial tissues. Now this interstitial cells or Leydig cells secrete a group of hormone called as androgen, mainly the testosterone. So these interstitial cells, which are called as Leydig cells also, will be secreting a specific type of hormones, which are called as androgen family hormones. Mainly it will be consisting the testosterone. Testosterone is also a steroid hormone, which will be having its receptors in the cytoplasm, inside the cellular. So testosterone and other androgens are important in development, maturation, and function of the sex organs and secondary sexual characters in the male. So this testosterone, which is basically secreted by the Leydig cell, is responsible for development of the different sex organs, like the different sex organs and their functions. So it is responsible for development and function of the sex organs. It is responsible for development and function of sex organs, and also responsible for development of the secondary sexual characters in the male. So testosterone and other androgens are mainly responsible, which are secreted from the Leydig cells, okay, under the effect of okay, under the effect of basically the stimulating hormones. It will be responsible for the development of the sex organs and their function and the maturation, and also the development of the secondary sexual characters in the male, like the formation of the mouth, beard, okay, voice, pitch, etc. Now these androgens play a very important role. The androgens play a very important role in process of spermatogenesis. So they will be responsible for initiating the spermatogenesis. Or we can say formation of spermatozoa. So androgens will be stimulating the process of spermatogenesis, and they will be acting on the central nervous system and influence the male sexual behavior as well. The testosterone will be acting on the central nervous system and influences the male sexual behavior as well. Okay. Next, this hormone produces the anabolic effects. That is, it is responsible for synthesizing the different parts of substances, right? So it is responsible for anabolic effects on the protein and carbohydrate metabolism. So it will be responsible for the protein synthesis in the body, and hence the muscles development are basically seen in the males, particularly having the high testosterone. And many athletes will be taking this testosterone or the steroid hormones from the outside, okay, externally, so that to build up the muscles and the bodybuilding. Okay, so these are also used as an ill practice as well. So these hormones will be mainly anabolic or synthetic in nature and responsible for synthesis of protein and carbohydrate metabolism particularly. The another cell, that is Sertoli cells, which are present in this testis only. These Sertoli cells are also present in the testis, are basically responsible for secretion of a hormone called as inhibin. Which decreases the secretion of FSH, which is responsible for decreasing the secretion of FSH. FSH is a follicular stimulating hormone. Under which the testis will be developing and secreting these male sex hormones. Okay, so that was about testis. Testis structure basically present outside the abdomen in the scrotal cavity, sac. Okay, and it will be endocrine in nature and will be also responsible for functioning as a primary sex organ, where it will be releasing the sperms, that is male gametes, and will be also functioning as an endocrine glands. Now these cells will be basically the interstitial cells or the Leydig cells will be secreting this hormone called as androgen family, mainly the testosterone. This testosterone are mainly responsible for the development and the functioning and the maturation of the primary sex organs, and also responsible for the development of the secondary sexual characters in the male. These androgens will be playing an important role in the spermatogenesis, that is formation of spermatozoa or the male gametes, and they will be functioning on the central nervous system and hence influence the male sexual behavior. And majorly they are basically causing the anabolic effects or synthetic effects, due to which the protein synthesis and carbohydrate synthesis metabolism will be taking place. It will be also secreting a specific hormone, that is inhibin, which is secreted by Sertoli cell, one of the cells in the testis, and responsible for decreasing the secretion of the FSH. It is inhibiting the secretion of the FSH. That was about the testes. Next, a sex hormone which is secreted by in the case of female, next sex organ, the gland which is basically responsible for the gametogenesis in the female is called as ovary. So the pair of ovaries is located in the abdomen in the case of females. Okay, now ovary is the again primary sex organ which works as an endocrine gland as well. So ovaries also has got the dual function similar to the testis. Ovary also has got a dual function similar to the testis, where it will be functioning as a primary sex organ as well as the endocrine gland. It will be functioning similar to the ovary, where it will be functioning as a primary sex organ and endocrine gland. The ovary produces two groups of steroid hormones called as estrogen and progesterone. In the case of male hormones, only testosterone was produced as an androgen family. In the case of females, the steroid hormones will be present into two groups. Two groups of steroid hormones are produced, that is estrogen and the progesterone. Theca interna of follicular cells secrete the estrogen. So the ovary has got different layers, out of which the theca interna of the follicular cells. The ovary will be having a lot of follicles within them, okay, which will be developing into the ovum, okay, and this will be having different layers. Out of this, the interna of the follicular cells, the internal part of the follicular cells, will be secreting the estrogen. The estrogen is responsible for regulating the sexual behavior. The estrogen is responsible for regulating the female sexual behavior, stimulation of the growth and activities of female secondary sex organs like the mammary glands and all that, okay. So it is regulating the female sexual behavior. It also stimulates the growth and activities of the female secondary sex organs. Now, after the ovulation, the ruptured follicle through which this ovum is basically released is converted into corpus luteum, basically a yellow colored structure, okay. So once the ovulation occurs, so the follicles get ruptured. Once the ovulation occurs, the follicle will get ruptured, and this ruptured follicle will be getting converted into corpus luteum. This ruptured follicle will get converted into corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone, which will be secreting progesterone, okay. So the follicular cells will be secreting estrogen, under the effect of which the sexual behavior and the stimulation of the different activities of female sexual organs will be taking place. And after ovulation, this follicle is getting ruptured, which will be converted into corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum will be secreting progesterone. This progesterone will be supporting the pregnancy. This progesterone is responsible for supporting the pregnancy if it occurs after fertilization. If the fertilization occurs, this corpus luteum will be held there, and it will be releasing the progesterone, which will be supporting the pregnancy, and it will be also acting on the mammary glands and stimulates the formation of alveoli and milk secretion, okay. So it will be responsible for the milk secretion, milk formation, and the development of the mammary gland as well. So mainly the ovary or the female ovary will be consisting of the dual functions, that is functioning as an endocrine gland and also as a primary sex organ, as it will be secreting the ovum as a primary sex organ, and it will be secreting some hormones as an endocrine gland. The main hormone which is secreted by it are two types, that is estrogen and the progesterone. Estrogen is basically secreted by the follicular cells of the follicles, right? Internal follicular cells. Now this estrogen will be responsible for the development of the female sex organs and the stimulation of the growth and also for their activities, okay. While when this ovulation causes the ovulation causes the release of ovum. This ovum is released from a follicular structure. This follicles, graphene follicles it is called. These follicles after the ovulation get ruptured, okay. This ruptured follicle is converted into corpus luteum. So if the fertilization takes place, this corpus luteum is now functioning it will be remaining for a longer duration, and this will be responsible for secreting the progesterone. This progesterone will be responsible for the supporting the pregnancy, okay. So thus we can say estrogen and progesterone are the hormones secreted by the ovary by different structures and in different time, okay. And this progesterone is also responsible for development of the mammary glands and stimulates the formation of alveoli and milk secretion. That is about the ovary. Next is the placenta. So placenta develops only in the pregnant uterine placental female. It will present only in the pregnant placental female, okay. It is the connection between the fetus and mother. The placenta is a tissue. It's a tissue of connection between the fetus and mother. Which produces some important hormones. Even the placenta is also responsible for producing some important hormones, okay. Let us see. So the main hormones is produced are the HCG, that is human chorionial gonadotropic hormone, okay. And it helps in development and maintenance of placenta. HCG is human chorionial gonadotropic hormone, is responsible for development and maintenance of placenta, and this HCG releases in urine as well. So if the pregnancy is there, the placenta starts developing, and due to which this HCG will be released in the urine as well. And this is the basis of the Gravidex test. It's also called as pregnancy test. So if the HCG is found in the urine, it means the person is pregnant. The person is particularly pregnant, okay. If the HCG is not found, the person is not pregnant. The test is negative, okay. So this is the basis of the Gravidex test, that the presence or absence of HCG. So if it is present, it is positive, pregnancy is present. If it is not present, then it is negative, pregnancy is absent, okay. Next is placental estrogen and placental progesterone. So we have seen the estrogen and progesterone are the hormones secreted from the ovary, but Once the pregnancy is there, it will be forming the embryo and the development of fetus will take place. This estrogen and progesterone will be also secreted by the as a placenta. This placental estrogen and progesterone both are responsible for development of the mammary glands. Both are responsible for development of mammary glands, so that the nourishment of the infant can be done properly. Next is placental lactogen. The placental lactogen, it's a hormone released by the placenta, responsible for the milk formation and secretion. It is responsible for milk secretion and the formation. Okay, placental lactogen. The last one is relaxin. It's secreted by placenta, helps in the parturition, that is the delivery of the baby. Okay, so let us see. Placenta mainly is a tissue which connects the mother to the fetus. It basically releases different type of hormones, mainly the HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, which will be responsible for development and the maintenance of fetus and also the placenta. No, and it is found in the urine as well, and hence it is the basis of the gravidic test. So if HCG is present in urine, the person is positive. He is pregnant. She is pregnant. If it is negative, then the person is not pregnant. Okay, so that is the basis of the gravidic test or pregnancy test. Apart from this, it will be also releasing the estrogen plus progesterone, called as placental estrogen and progesterone. Both are responsible for development of the mammary gland, so that the nourishment of the baby can occur properly. It will be also secreting placental lactogen, helps in the milk secretion, and the last one, relaxin, helps in the parturition during the giving birth to the baby. Okay. Next is skin. Even skin will be responsible for the secretion of some hormones. Particularly, it is the one which stimulates the deposition of the calcium in bone. It stimulates the deposition of the calcium in bones. Okay, so it acts against the parathyroid hormone, particularly, we can say. So there is a specific structure. Ergosterol are present in a body. Mainly the ergosterol is a type of lipid derivative present in the body, which gets converted into cholesterol in the presence of UV rays. Okay, and this will be absorbed in the intestine. It's responsible for absorption of intestine the calcium, and this in the presence of UV rays will be converted to cholesterol, which in the kidney and liver will be converted into 1,2,5 cholecalciferol, which is responsible for the formation of vitamin D. So this will be responsible for formation of vitamin D, particularly we can say is a precursor of vitamin D, and it will be stimulating the deposition of the calcium in the bone. It will be stimulating the deposition of calcium in the bone. Next, heart. As we have already seen in the circulatory system of human beings, the circulatory system. In circulatory system, we have already seen the heart, where the arterial wall of a heart secretes a very important peptide hormone called as arterial natriuretic factor (ANF), which decreases the blood pressure. Along with the hormone, that is renin. Okay, along with the hormone renin, and forming a system called as RAS, that is renin, angiotensin, adrenergic hormone. Okay, so that is the whole system called as RAS. Okay, so this decreases the blood pressure. When blood pressure is increased, ANF is secreted. So under the high pressure of the blood, the arterial natriuretic factor will be secreted, which causes the dilation of the blood vessels, and this will be reducing the blood pressure. This will be acting along with the renin and angiotensin. This arterial natriuretic factor ANF will be acting along with the renin and the angiotensin, which are secreted in the kidney. So let us discuss them as well. So renin is an enzymatic hormone. It's an enzymatic hormone which is secreted by the juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney. And this will be converting the angiotensinogen, which is inactive hormone, into angiotensin 1, which is in the presence of renin. So renin is a type of enzymatic hormone which will be converting angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. Angiotensinogen is inactive form, angiotensin 1 is active form. This angiotensin 1 will be converted into angiotensin 2. Okay, that is the most effective form of the angiotensin. This angiotensin along with the renin and this arterial natriuretic factor, these all three together will be responsible for dilation of blood vessels and hence reducing the blood pressure. So these are together functioning as a RAS. Okay. The next one is the juxtaglomerular cells of kidney also produces a peptide hormone called as erythropoietin. You can note it down. The juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney will producing another hormone called as erythropoietin. And this erythropoietin is responsible for stimulating the erythropoiesis. The erythropoietin is responsible for stimulation of the erythropoiesis, that is the formation of RBC in bone marrow, formation of RBC in the bone marrow. Last one is the pheromones. Okay, so let us see pheromones. It is basically intra-species chemical messenger. Right up to now, the hormones which have we discussed were the chemical substances which will be acting inside a single organism. So it will be both the source and the target organ will be present in the same body. But sometimes there are some chemical messengers which will be functioning as a chemical messenger, which will be functioning as a messenger in between two organisms within species, within the same species. Okay, this is called as pheromones. Okay, these are called as pheromones. Okay, these are mainly secreted by the exocrine glands. These are, because the endocrine glands will be secreting into the blood, but these are not needed to be secreted in the blood. Okay, so they are secreted by the exocrine glands. So you may note down the hormones are secreted by the exocrine gland, mainly the pheromones. These are very specific chemical messenger released by an animal into air to initiate a specific response. Okay, so these are specific type of chemicals which is released by an animal into an air to initiate a specific response in another animal of same species. This response may be the signals for the food. Suppose the organism is responsible for basically finding out the food, searching out the food, and that organism receives the food, then it will be releasing signals so that the different other animals of the same species will be able to follow it. Okay, so these may be the signals for the food, mating, etc. So they will be also secreting some chemicals by which they will be able to attract the opposite sex. They will be able to attract the opposite sex and hence responsible for mating between them. Okay, these chemicals are very volatile in nature, so they will be getting easily diffused in the air. And will be taken to the different large distance. Okay, and hence this can be spread at the large distance, and it can have effect. It can behave as a messenger at a large distance also. So this is volatile in nature and secreted in external environment. Now the sex hormones are particularly lipid derivative, but mostly these are the one which are lipid derivative. Okay, it may be protein, it may be protein or lipid derivative. Okay, now the sex pheromones are the most important of all of this, which stimulate the sex conjugation and help to attract the opposite sex. These are mainly secreted by the animals and the birds, even by the different type of arthropoda. Okay, so these are the one which will be responsible for stimulating the sex conjugation and then help to attract the opposite sex. These are very species specific, so no different species can act in between them. Okay, there are different types of pheromones. First one is the most important one, the aggregation pheromone. This helps in the aggregation, like the honeybee. So the honeybee has the queen bee. The queen bee will be responsible for secreting this aggregation pheromone, due to which all the other bees, that is worker bees, that is drone bees and all that, will be aggregated around this honeybee, the queen honeybee. Okay, that's the aggregation pheromones. Okay, pheromones. And the other one would be the alarm pheromones. Alarm pheromones are the one which will be basically acting as an alarm. So it will be also only like the formic acid. Okay, so there are different type of other pheromones as well. So what are pheromones? Mainly the chemical messenger between the organism of the same species, secreted by the exocrine gland, and mainly responsible for initiating a specific response in another animal, mainly for the food, mating, and mating particularly, and even sometimes for the protection. These are volatile in nature and secreted directly into external environment. It is not secreted into blood like the endocrine glands. Okay, and this will be responsible for stimulating the sex conjugation and help to attract the opposite sex. Another form of the pheromones, the aggregation pheromones, which is responsible for aggregation of all the bees, all the insects in the particular group. That's all for this particular topic. So we have discussed the different hormones secreted by the pancreas, that is the insulin and the glucagon, their action, and the types of cells in the pancreas. Then we had seen glucagon, insulin, their function, their disorders. Okay, then the testes, their function, the structures, ovary, the structure and function, and last one is the placenta. Okay, we have seen what are the different hormones secreted by placenta: HCG, placental estrogen and progesterone, placental lactogen, and the relaxin. These are the different hormones secreted by the placenta. Then the skin, heart. Okay, the different heart, which is secreting the atrial natriuretic factor, responsible for decreasing the blood pressure, and will be functioning in the RAS system, will function in the RAS system. And lastly, we have done the pheromones, which are the hormones, or you can say the chemical messengers, which will be which will be acting in between two organism of a same species, mainly responsible for initiating some special responses. Okay, like food may be responsible for giving signals for food, mating, and mainly attracting the opposite sex. Okay, but that's all for today. With this, we are completing this chapter, and next onwards we'll be starting a new chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.